Welcome to the Zimmerman Podcast with your host, CEO, wedding professional, educator, and mom, Jessica Zimmerman.
This is a brand new Zimmerman Podcast mini-series, Sleeping with a Stranger Under the Cover. In the next few weeks leading up to the release of my memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger, we'll be taking a look under the cover as I share insider information about the story and process behind my memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger, which releases May 7th, 2020. I'm sitting down with Rachel, who will be interviewing me about the deeply personal and never before shared details of my journey through living and writing Sleeping with a Stranger. So let's do this. Let's go under the cover. Hi, Rachel. Welcome back.
Thanks, Jess.
Here we go. Sleeping with a Stranger.
We're going to talk about self-care, the self-care that you kind of practiced during the events that are in the book, what's happened since the events of the book have, kind of passed. I feel like self-care is such a hot topic right now, and we are currently, as a nation, on day, 7 of self-isolation.
You're locked down.
We are, and we are being, safe and smart. And that can be really, you and I are both moms. Both our husbands are home. Thank goodness. Not everyone has that luxury, but it can be hard when you have to work and parent and live and be in the same space all the time when the future is uncertain. There's so many things out of control. And I was talking to my husband this week, and I was thinking about you, and we were, as a team, already in a season of a lot being out of our control and there being a lot of unknowns, and just kind of like, buckling up and writing it out. And then, everything happened this past week. And it's just funny because in some ways it doesn't feel that much more stressful to me because I'm like, oh, I went from not knowing what the future will look like to not knowing what the future will look like.
Exactly. Yes.
It's so important to do things, mentally and physically and spiritually to take care of ourselves when A, so much is uncertain, we feel so out of control, B, we are confined in these, places with people all day, every day. And even if that weren't the case, I just want to talk about, what you learned about yourself, because it's such a key part of the book about how to take care of yourself in all these different arenas.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think first and foremost, just with what we're going through right now, I'm just really grateful that I have a job where I can still, like right now, I'm up here and I'm recording this with you, and my husband is, watching the kids out in the backyard, and I'm able to still work. And I know there are so many people that can't, and my heart just goes out to you, and I'm thinking about you. And I think that I really do. I've seen a lot of people on social media, kind of panicking and everything. And I think really it all kind of boils down to really looking at what you can control, because there's so many things that we can't, and there's no sense in even trying to, or even giving that a moment's thought. It's just, what is it that we can control, and we'll worry about that. And I think that some of the reasons why these grocery stores and stuff are completely out of product is coming from a place of fear with people. They don't know what's happening in the future. They can't control that, but they can control how many, cans of chicken broth they have in their pantry. And I just look at that as, wow, people really are coming from a place of fear. And I think that, for me, the book really reveals how I really lived from a place of fear for a long time. And it basically is just getting back to like the simplest of things. And I, I try to do these things every day. For me, it's getting up every morning and, having a little bit of a devotional, having some meditation time, exercising, getting out in the sunshine, eating 5 colors a day, and deep breathing. You know what I mean? Like that, it's as simple as that. And it's amazing how I think everyone tries. I gave this example. I don't know if this is the platform to share this, but I'm going to share it anyway because it's my platform. I mean, it's not that it's my platform; it's my podcast. I guess I can share it on. But I we go to a Bible study. It's like a life group, and the reason why I ever hesitate to share anything about my faith is because I know that there are a lot of people that have felt very judged by people of faith. And I just want to say that I'm not one of those people. I mean, the only people that I judge are people who wear matching t-shirts to Disney World. Like that's it. Um,
All bets are off.
um, just kidding. But I just really come from a place of love and acceptance, and I don't ever want to come across as judgmental or that I think because I have this faith that I'm better, because I don't at all, and I'm so loving and accepting of other people and people who have different faiths, and just everyone doing what they believe is best in their life, and so I think the only reason why I ever hesitate to share is because I don't ever want anyone to go, well, I can't listen to her anymore because she's gonna judge me or whatever, because that's not the case. But anyway, let me just share this. So we have a life group that we meet with once a week, and it's just other, other grown-ups, other adults that are our age. Brian and I are actually the youngest ones. It's like the one place where we're the youngest, and it's
Oh,
kind
that's
of
so
fun.
great. I
I know,
love that.
it's so great. Everyone else is like 5 years older, and I just love it. Like they're in their 40s and we're still in our 30s, and it makes me so happy. And I don't ever miss a beat to share that again, or to let them know that at life
Yeah,
group. They're
that they're
probably like,
older.
yeah, they're like, "Thanks." But we rotated this year with teaching lessons, and I taught a lesson a few weeks ago, and it was about seeds. I'm totally forgot how this relates to what we're talking about, but hopefully we'll
You'll
figure that
find
out.
your way. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find it. I have just gone a different direction, but I taught about seeds and how we go to God, or when we pray and we say, Lord, like give us our gift or our purpose or our plan, like we need to know what it is so that we can get started and go. And he's like, okay, here you go. And he gives us a packet of seeds. We look at those seeds and we're like, ugh, I don't want these. Like, what do you want? Like, I'm not a gardener. I don't do this. Like, what? I don't understand. Like, why are you giving me seeds? And he's like, just take those seeds. Just go take them. And what I find a lot of people do is they, are walking around with like big bags of just packets and packets and packets of seeds. Like they listen to all the podcasts and they read all the books and they read all the blogs, and they, you know what I mean? Like they want, and I have a student who, man, I think about her every time, but she's literally taken every single one of my programs, every single class I've ever taught, every webinar. I mean, she has been there. And every time I talk to her, she seems frustrated. Now I have a lot of students who they go through the programs, they do the work, and they see the results. And for her in particular, what I see is someone who buys the program, reads the program, but never actually puts in the work. You know what I mean? She doesn't cultivate the program. And you're never going to get results if you don't do the actual work. And it's one thing to like know what to do. It's another thing to actually do it. And so you see these people and they're just walking around with just bags and bags of seeds. And they're like, look at me, look at all my seeds. Like, look, I know all the stuff. I got all I've read all the books. I know everything. And but they don't, because they're still wondering what their purpose is. They're still wondering what their plan is. And then we get frustrated because we look over and we see that someone else has, 2 acres or 20 acres, of just gorgeous, gorgeous flowers, like this huge flower farm, right? Just acres of it. And we're like, ugh, why can't I have the acres and acres of flowers? And it's like, well, first of all, I didn't give you a flower seed. I gave you an oak tree seed. And also, so quit comparing your seed to her seed. And number 2, don't get upset because that person has been cultivating that seed for a decade and now gets those results when you haven't even opened your package of seeds. Mark your calendar for May 7th. It's book launch day. If you want details on my upcoming book tour, like cities I'll be visiting, how you can meet me in person and get a signed copy of the book, you got to get your name on the list. This list will get you the VIP treatment. We've got awesome bonuses prepared, but only for those who have signed up. Go to sleepingwithastranger.com to become a VIP today. I feel like I've gone way off topic, but I'm just gonna finish this story up. Okay, so basically, the reason why we don't like to do that work is because that's the underground work, right? Like before a seed can pop out and become a flower or become the beginning of an oak tree or whatever, a lot has to happen under the soil. And that is the underground work. And that is the stuff that no one sees. And you can look on social media right now and you can see people who are in pain. Even before this whole epidemic went on, you can see, I mean, the people who are constantly posting, and this isn't a judgmental thing, this is an observation, but people who are constantly posting something that they've done, they're wanting someone to say, good job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they need that affirmation. And that makes me sad because that shows me that, maybe they're not getting that affirmation at home. Or maybe they are, but they don't want it from that person. And that there's a problem there. You know what I mean? And so the cultivation of the seed is really the underground work. And it is the stuff that no one sees. We cannot post a picture about it and have people say, great job, you're doing great, because it's the stuff no one sees. And it's more, in the dark, it's more painful. And then there's the breaking and this all kind of, I feel like the past 4 years for me have been a lot of underground work. And
Mm-hmm.
have been a lot of, and just even in the past year and a half, was really the breaking. And you have to go through a lot of pain and you have to almost be completely broken and if you look at it, in comparison, the ground has to break, like the soil has to break down for the seed to be able to really plant those roots and get good nutrients out of it, right? And then only through the breakage is that when like the plant produces, its bloom or whatever it is, whether it's an oak tree or a field of flowers or whatever. And I think that there's a lot of people that aren't willing to do the underground work. Now, we don't have to look at this from a faith perspective. You could just look at this from a work perspective if you want to, you want to know what your purpose is and you want to know what your next step is, but are you willing to do the underground work to get there? Because you're never going to get I'm already preparing. I've had a few people reach out who have read the book and just saying like, oh, we want you on this show or something. And I think about if that were to happen, somebody saying, like, oh, there's an overnight success. And it's like, that's funny because I've been working on this for over a decade. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to be willing to do the work for your purpose or your plan to really be realized. And I think for me, I sat in the pain for a long time. I think that our truest selves are found through our pain. So I don't think we need to avoid it. I don't think we need to numb it. I think we need to be strong enough to walk right through it and embrace it and figure out who we are at the end of it. But also, if the quicker we are to like do that work, the quicker we are to get to the what's the word I'm looking for? The produce of the seed,
Like
the
the fruit, the flower, the
fruit, the
fruit.
fruit, yes,
Yeah.
the flower and the
Yeah.
fruit and which I think is a lot of people's purpose. And I think for me, part of that, like just that breakage, just that right there, like I'm either going to die or I'm going to break through this soil and the fruit is going to happen. For me, it really was getting back to the basics, which was, reading, meditating, eating 5 colors a day, being in the sunshine, exercising, like the simplest of things that I can do all by myself, that I can control all by myself. I don't need anyone else to do those things for me. Like I am in control of those things. And so I think in just a time like we're in right now, knowing that you are in control of the things that actually give you the best version of yourself. Because I believe so strongly that our minds and our hearts and our bodies are connected. And I think we have to do a little bit with each of that every day to be our best selves.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the most
No,
roundabout answer ever.
well, I also think when I was listening to you, I was thinking, the truth is, if we're living out our purpose, we're doing that just as well when things are uncomfortable, when we're trying to break through, as when, things are flourishing and growing wildly. So if you like your purpose for this past year, and so therefore, like the rest of the team's purpose has been this book, and it has very seldom felt comfortable. Maybe we're getting to a stage where we're going to see some fruit, but it's no less your purpose in these hard, uncomfortable stages than it will be when it comes out and people love it and are reading it. Like the their comfort level has nothing to do with how convinced you are that it's your purpose. It just means that it's tough. And I think of self-care, like the things you talked about that are helpful to you, that you discovered through the process of what's described in the book. Some of those things are, if we're extending this metaphor, taking in nutrients, like taking things from the soil through our roots and using them to fuel our bodies. And some of them are kind of the pushing through the soil types of things, and they're both self-care. So like exercising doesn't always feel good when you're doing it, but you usually like having done it, and it helps, it helps your endorphins. It just helps you knowing that you've moved your body. Um,
No one ever finishes a run and goes, "You know what? I really regret that."
Yeah. Well, maybe if you're like vomiting, then maybe you're like, "Oh man." But no, yeah, but like it doesn't necessarily feel good, but you know that it is part of, what's fueling you. You know that it's helping you break through that ground. And maybe something like reading and having quiet time feels a little better. I think it's still tough to commit to, but it feels more nurturing. And it's also so essential. So there are things that are easier to do. Like maybe you need to take a bath. Jess, you love taking baths.
I'm a bath person every day. I took a bath right before I got on here to record this. I bathe in a bathtub 2 to 3 times a day. Is that not crazy? That's a little crazy.
That is wild, but I was reading something. Was it Glennon Doyle? I think she just posted something about just add water. Like so many of the things that feel overwhelming, drink a glass of water, take a bath.
Sometimes you need a glass of water, sometimes you need a bath, sometimes you need to be by the ocean. Like, yeah, water, and it's right there. It's right there. We have access to it, which is we're so lucky. We're so lucky and grateful and blessed. Like we should. It's the simplest things. I mean, even with this whole thing that's going on right now, I saw a picture once again of a grocery store where like all the shelves were cleared, but all of the fresh produce was still there. And I thought, I mean, just by this picture alone, that shows that most people don't really understand immunity systems or you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like we need to be having fresh fruits and vegetables. And it's just we need to be kind of the earth, not to sound like a big earth muffin over here, but like we need to eat the things that grew out of the ground, not that were, made in a factory. And we need, I mean, although I love a Cheeto as much as anyone else, but I mean, I need to, eat real food, and I need to just go outside and like lay down and let the sun hit my face for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And just things like that. And even just as simple as reading or doing a devotional or whatever that is, what that is it's working your mind versus numbing your mind. Like watching a show or something is oftentimes just escaping and numbing instead of kind of exercising our mind, which is important. So, yeah, it's not that it's always easy, but for me, it's those simple things are what, make the best version of me. And I'm just constantly striving to I want to meet her one day. Like, who is the best version of Jessica Zimmerman? Like, I want to meet her.
Yeah, and so
I
you
think she's going to be pretty great.
so you keep pushing through because you're on your way to your purpose.
Yeah, totally, totally. So I don't know if I answered the question or not, but there's a fun story for you.
There is a fun story, and we can maybe in the show notes for this episode, I'll put a list of some of your favorite self-care things you can do. But you go to therapy, you love taking baths, you like getting outside in the sunshine. Hiking was really big for you this fall. You stay hydrated. You kind of don't drink a lot of caffeine or like sugary beverages anymore because it can mess with you.
I don't drink any. The only time I have a Coke is if I'm at the movie theater, like at the theater. It's like my candy. I'll have like a Coke, but that's the only time. So I just drink water and then tea if I need some caffeine. But I don't normally have that. I mean, that's just kind of like I do like beekeepers, like brain fuel and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is very energizing.
Yeah, that's better than like any type of caffeine. So I do try to be as of the earth as I can be.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jess. I hope that all of us, as we are navigating this uncertain time, we can just, like you said, stick to the basics, try to live out our purpose. And as we do so, do things to take care of ourselves, whether that be taking a bath or walking around our backyard or talking with a friend. And just, sticking to the basics of what's going to fuel us and help us break through the ground this spring.
Yep, I love it. All right, guys, go to sleepingwithastranger.com because it's coming real soon.
Pre-order.
Pre-order. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Zimmerman Podcast miniseries, Sleeping with a Stranger Under the Cover. Don't forget, you can get book updates and VIP treatment at sleepingwithastranger.com. The book will be available May 7th. I'll see you next time.